Imagine yourself coming home after a long day at work. You grab a quick snack from the fridge, sit down on the couch, wrap yourself in a warm blanket, turn the TV to your favorite channel, and begin to wind down. Now imagine if there wasn't a snack, or a couch, or a blanket, or a TV to come home to at all. Doesn't sound so relaxed anymore, does it? But hey, at least you have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and shoes on your feet. Right? Now imagine if you didn't have any of that either. Oh, and while you're at it, let's pretend you never had a job in the first place. Sadly, this is the exact situation for thousands of Americans across the country. America has long faced an issue of homelessness, and the COVID-19 pandemic has only made these numbers worse. In the next few minutes, I will be addressing the increasing issue of homelessness in this country, why someone may experience homelessness, and some ways this devastating issue can be lessened. Oftentimes, when a person hears the word homeless, the image of a poorly groomed person holding an empty cup or a cardboard sign may often come to mind. This, however, is the stereotypical image of what homelessness is, when in reality it goes much deeper than many people can imagine. Altogether, according to the National Alliance on Homelessness, by the end of 2019, a total of 567,715 American citizens were left with no place to call home. Currently, half of the homeless population are individuals living on the streets alone. 1/3 of the population are homeless families. 1/5 are chronically homeless, meaning that they have been homeless for more than a total of 12 months. 1 in 15 of the homeless population are American veterans, and 1 in 16 are youth, living on the streets unaccompanied by anyone. Sure, this number may seem small compared to the near 332 million other people living in the country, but in what world is it right for anyone to be living on the streets for any reason? This crisis has only become more dire with the current circumstances of the COVID-19 pandemic inflicting trauma all over the world. One detrimental cause of the virus has been the large spikes of unemployment inflicting trauma all over the country. As a result of unemployment, Columbia University professor Dan O'Flaherty states in the Community Solutions blog published on May 11, 2020, that unemployment could rise by 45% in just 1 year. That is an additional 250,000 people left to fend for themselves. And not only are there more people finding themselves with no jobs during the pandemic, but those facing homelessness may be more vulnerable to the virus as well. EndHomelessness.org has research to show that people who are homeless tend to reflect an age 15 to 20 years older than their actual age in terms of all-around health. And with the pandemic being so dangerous to those aged 65 years or older, it can be seen how this may pose a problem for the near 202,623 homeless people currently living over the age of 50. So now, more than ever, it's time to take action towards diminishing homelessness in America. But first, it's important to understand how someone ends up homeless. It can be hard to feel empathetic for the homeless when many people do not understand how someone ends up homeless in the first place. The Atlanta Mission, an organization formed with the purpose of working to end homelessness, provides a 2021 list of the 7 major causes of homelessness. 7th on the list is personal hardship. Many people may find themselves in a life-changing situation, such as a natural disaster, a toxic relationship, or even a divorce. Any of these circumstances could flip a person's life upside down in the blink of an eye. Many people also face a lack of affordable housing in this country. That is number 6 on the list. Which follows then and is related to number 5, which is unemployment. So when people are unemployed, they often can't find affordable housing in the first place. And leading into number 4, some people are employed, but they are still working in poverty. So America's minimum wage of $7.25 just doesn't cut it for most people. So even with a job, people may not be able to afford housing or food. Coming in third on the list is abuse. This leads to life out on the streets when one escapes their abuser and has nowhere to go after. Illness and disability is one of the top 2 reasons for homelessness. For how can one be expected to maintain a work life if they're physically unable to do so? Finally, the lack of healthy relationships in this country is the #1 reason for homelessness. Who are you supposed to turn to when you don't have any trusting relationships with anyone? So when you face a poor situation that leads you to life out on the streets, you have nowhere to go. Now that you know about how someone becomes homeless, it's important to look closer into the lives of those who are actually homeless. John Chalice, a concerned citizen for the homeless, decided to go out one day in the summer of 2017 and interview some of the homeless community living in Austin, Texas. John first met with Thomas and Charles, 2 able-bodied men in their 30s, when one of them approached John asking for money. Charles had recently moved to Austin with his girlfriend, but when their relationship took a bad turn, she kicked him out. Thomas had also just recently moved to Austin, but he did so for a job that ended up falling through. Now both men are left without a home. After that, John met with Christy, a woman who shared her experiences of living in 3 different shelters and her excitement for a potential job at a Goodwill. Christy had been homeless for almost 2 years at that point. Next, John met with an older woman who, according to John, appeared fairly unresponsive to the world around her and wore rags on her feet instead of shoes. Sadly, John was unable to do much more to break through to her. He was only able to get her name and buy her a few things from a nearby convenience store. These are only a few of the people John met with, but they're all facing their own impossible situation. Being homeless is never the fault of the person experiencing it, and there are a lot of things our country could be doing in order to help bring an end to homelessness. The scary thing about homelessness is that it can happen to anyone at any given time. People of every ethnicity in America face homelessness, and it's not something you can prepare for or sense coming. Victims of homelessness are not to blame for their circumstances, and ultimately, there are a lot more things our country could be doing in order to help bring an end to homelessness. As addressed by the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness, our country can make changes in our country's housing, healthcare, career pathways, crisis response system, foster care education, criminal justice involvement, and preventative measures can all help to lessen the homelessness burden in America. A few examples related to these issues would be to implement more affordable housing and more supportive housing, such as shelters. Other examples would be to increase access to useful job training for those coming out of homelessness, as well as more accessible and attainable healthcare connected to care or housing providers. Along with the many things our country could be doing, however, there are a number of things you yourself can do in order to help those in need. One way you can help locally is through donating cash contributions to organizations such as People Serving People or Mary's Place, located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Or you could even help with Operation Help, an organization formed to help those in the St. Croix County area make their way out of homelessness. Another way you can help is through volunteering. Places of volunteer would be a homeless shelter, a local food service, or a children's service. Along with volunteering, you could also hold a food drive in your local area or even donate your own clothes. Even the smallest actions done by an individual person can make a tremendous difference in the lives of those in need. Homelessness is a growing issue in America, but it doesn't have to be. Consider the factors that lead to people living out on the streets and begin to think proactively within your own community in order to make positive changing towards minimizing this wide-ranging issue in America. Homelessness is not a death sentence, and it shouldn't be. All it takes is a little action from you and society in order to bring an end to this crisis. Thank you.